Hey guys, doing a little bit more work on R2. This is the first bit of work I'm doing on the skins for the body. Now this is the skins come in effectively four parts. There's an inner and outer, front and rear. So this is the inner front, and what you do is you actually cut up the outer front, it would appear. That's the first time I've done it. And you fit them like so to create the raised areas. I've already done one, I did one yesterday, and you can just see here, needs a bit of rubbing down and tidying up, but you can just see here, this is where I've put the first one on and tried to match it as close as possible with the existing detail, so you get a sort of double skin around here, which will tidy up later on. So today I'm going to put the second piece on. And to do that I'm using JB Weld. Now I've had to take the JB Weld into the house and warm it up because it's been, well, I think it's about 1 degree outside at the moment, and this stuff goes rock hard when it's that cold, so it's very, very difficult to measure out and mix. So but the good news is it does actually go off and appear to work, so that's good. So that's really it. I'm just going to mix that up, put it on the inside, and maybe not put quite as much on as I did yesterday because I had a lot of cleaning up to do. And the thing with the real trick with this stuff is I was cleaning this off around the edges with acetone before it sets, because once it's set the only way to remove it is to sand or file or grind it off. So yeah, so lots of work to get that cleaned up afterwards. It wasn't so bad to mix the glue and fit it. The bad bit was cleaning the surrounds afterwards. As you start to clamp it down, I was clamping it with all sorts of model clamps and coat hanger, clothes pegs and all sorts to really get a good seal, and it looks like it did. This looks lovely around here, there's no problems at all, no gaps, but it's definitely a lot of cleanup required to do that. But it's better. You see I've just missed a little bit, just where is it, just here. I've filed it down as smooth as I can, but you never quite get rid of it. It's always going to be a little imperfection, so it's best to try and get it clean before it sets. Okay, that's the second piece on. It's the surround that goes around the utility arms. So I got it in place and I'm pretty happy with the way it's lined up, and I'm using everything I can find to hold it in place. But what I'm finding that I'm doing is now I've got it stuck in the right place. I'm sort of going around, I'm removing say 2 or 3 inches of these clips. So we'll do it here, for example. This isn't too bad because I've just done one clean of it, but I'll show you the process. If I can get these things off again. You end up with a bit of a jigsaw. One sort of goes in, catches the end of the next one, and so on, and it's a bit of a challenge. Those ones aren't so bad. Okay, so this top corner is now free, but can you see there's a little bit of glue starting to ooze out of there, and like I said earlier, that gets super solid and there's no way to get it off later. So what I'm finding is a bit of kitchen towel and some acetone that I bought for the 3D printing to if you're printing with ABS you can use that to do a chemical weld, and I'm just running that in there with my fingernail as deep in as I can. It's difficult to show you with the camera in my hand, but I think you get the idea, and I'm just trying to eliminate any outcoming ooze as I see it, and then I'm moving around and clearing the next bit, and then the next bit, and the next bit. Hold on a second, just need to really get my nail in there. I need to grab hold of the thing with both hands. There we go. So that's now pretty tidy, just around there, and then I'm going to put these back and just move around and I'm doing that every couple of hours for the first few hours as it's setting, because you think you got it all clean, you go away, have a cup of tea, do something else, come back, and it's all oozing out again. So it's not a one-stop shop, I'm afraid. Once you've done it, you got to keep doing it until it stops oozing out. So not the most fun part of it. So again, we're going to move down here, so I'm just going to free up these ones. This is a little bit coming up under there now, so I'm just going to do that and then I'll come back. But that's the process. So clean a bit, reclamp, move along, unclamp, reclean, clean, and then reclamp again, until you can go away and leave it for half an hour and nothing more is then coming out. So anyway, that's it for now. I'll show you the process or the progress a bit later. Okay, right, that's about as far as I can go for a little while. I've just cleaned it all the way around, although I'm seeing already, what you can see in there, I'm seeing already the glue trying to ooze out, and I've barely just finished one circuit of it. So it looks like you're going to have to do a little bit more, but that's the idea. And then what I'll do is, once this looks a bit better, I'll leave it for half an hour and then come back and see if it needs doing again. And you just keep doing it until it stops oozing, basically, and then give it overnight to go off properly, and then it should be a good join. Hey guys, just a quick update on the R2 build. I've done quite a bit recently. It didn't actually take that long. It's just a case of doing some homework and ordering in the bits and doing a bit of reading up, and I've basically changed the control system, which you may remember I had a Spectrum DX9 transmitter and a compatible receiver, and basically I was using it all from RC or radio control, and I had a couple of issues. One was I was never going to have enough channels, and two, I was getting a really annoying drifting on the dome. So you'd get it all set up, you get it all trimmed in nicely, and it was perfect, and it would sit there still, but over about 10-15 minutes the dome would just start drifting, and doesn't matter how I sort of set the radio up, how I configure the dip switches on the speed controller, it just kept doing it. It would always just very slowly start creeping around. Anyway, one of the guys in the club told me about a system called Padawan 360, which is what I've now got installed. It basically consists of an Xbox 360 controller. If I zoom in on there, there's an Arduino Mega, which is the top bit there. There's a keys USB shield installed on top. There's the Spark Fun MP3 trigger board, which is the red one, and they're all just linked together basically. And the other thing obviously I've got hooked up is the receiver, which is the Microsoft thing, the Microsoft receiver for the Xbox, and there's a Siren 10 speed controller for the Dome. Basically what the system does is it uses some very nicely written code, which I think is the product of a couple of guys' work. I think one guy did the original Padawan, and then another guy took it up and sort of, with his permission, turned it into the Padawan 360 and sort of just updated it a bit. So it's largely a bit of both effectively. And what it allows you to do is do everything from here. So at the moment, for example, just to give you an idea, you'll see the spinning LEDs. Well, that means that the foot motors, they're not installed on my R2 yet, but the foot motors are effectively disengaged or deactivated at this point. They're disabled, which means that if a kid comes up and wrestles this off me and starts pressing buttons, 100 kilograms of droid isn't going to go out of control. So basically you press the start button and you get an acknowledgement from R2, and that engages the drive motors. So they're now live on this stick here, which is a sort of forward, backwards, left and right sort of thing, so I can do full driving on the one stick. Now if you press the stick, the LED moves over, you get another acknowledgement. That's gone to speed to one of three different, or to the second, no, to one of three different speed settings. So that I think is the second, and then that's the third, and it gives a little scream. So you've got, that's your sort of default speed, bit faster, very faster, very much faster, and you get the little confirmation. So that's a nice little touch. This control does the dome, and I've changed the code actually, because it was the Pitman motor is very fast, and what I've done is I've just changed the code so that the speed doesn't go as high and it doesn't accelerate as hard, So if I do that, I've got quite a bit of control. I can do it very, very slowly if I want to. And it's a nice speed, it's nice and quiet now, and it will stop pretty much where you want it to stop. So that's quite cool. That's in sort of manual mode, if you like. All these buttons are different sounds. They'll scroll through, I think they randomly go through a whole load of sound files. It looks like the blue, the X, is mostly sad sounds. I think that's more, Y seems to be more sort of alarm sounds, and I think these two are just more normal conversation type sounds. But then you've got the combos, and I've taken the original code and I've altered it a little bit, and I've changed some of the sounds. So if you hold the right one plus these, you get music that was originally with the system. You got the Cantina band on B. I've changed the sound file there because the sound file was a bit crackly and a bit sort of corrupted, so I've put a clean version of that on. You'll see there I'm actually, by pressing right one and up on the D panel, I think they call that, I'm actually increasing the volume, so you can do volume up and down on there as well. The other ones we've got, the Imperial March is on there, I think that came with it, and the Phantom Menace, which I might change, not so keen on that one, I might find a better one for that one, but basically the code is quite nice and easy to change. Some of it, I haven't learned much of it, but I've figured out enough to change some of the sounds. So we'll stop that, and then I think on the other, that trigger is not set to do very much with the sounds at the moment, but I've also configured, I've changed some of the ones that come on these, so I think with the top left, courtesy of Brad this Brad very kindly shared his sound files. He's got some excellent sound files, so we've got some music that's been remixed with R2 doing his thing. So this is Saturday Night Fever with R2 singing along. We've got the Muppets again, courtesy of Brad. Can't remember where I found that one. Happy Birthday. I figured if this is ever going to do some charity stuff for kids, hospital wards, that sort of stuff, it would be really cool to be able to have R2-D2 singing to the kids happy birthday if it's their birthday. I can't remember where I got that sound from. It's obviously thanks to somebody, but I'm not sure who. Probably Brad again, actually, to be fair. And then I can't remember what the last one is. Oh yeah, that's another one which some of the more advanced droids do all the doors, doing like a Wembley wave too, which is really, really cool. I don't know if I'll ever get that far advanced with mine, but we'll see. So we'll stop that, and then I've put the speeches on the second trigger. So I've got
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars.
And I've changed this sound as well, because again, I managed from somewhere else. I managed to get a slightly cleaned up version of it. So that's the long layer speech. There is also a shorter one as well.
Information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit.
And then on A,
Greetings, exalted.
we've got Luke's speech from Return of the Jedi.
Jedi Knight and friend to Captain Solo. I seek an audience with your greatness to bargain for Solo's life. With your wisdom, I'm sure that we can work out an arrangement which will be mutually beneficial and enable us to avoid.
And I've changed it so I can put a little scream at the end when he.
As a token of my goodwill, I present to you a gift. These two drawers. Both are hard-working and will serve you well.
And I've sort of put a scream on X. So basically on with the left lower trigger, I've got two speeches. I've got a laugh and a scream. So that seems to work quite well so far. The other, for those of you who don't know the Padawan system, this one is going to do, if memory serves, its hollow projector, which will be the main one, which can go up, down, left and right, and if you hold that in, then it does volume. Now the other thing which I particularly love is there's an automated an automated mode. So if you hit the back button, you get a little confirmation from R2, and you roughly every 5 to 20 seconds he'll do a little random speech, and he'll do a dome rotation as well. and you can set how far it turns and how often it's going to do it. But this is the default setting, which is pretty cool. But I love the idea that he's automated, so I can put the remote down. Look, no hands, and he's doing that all by himself. To means, of course, that you can then concentrate on driving him, which to me is a great idea, because I haven't had a go at actually driving these yet. But it's basically like a tank, sort of differential drive, so it shouldn't be too complicated. So yeah, so for anyone looking at control systems, I'm really pleased with this. Now, one of the things you've got to make sure is, of course, especially when it comes to the driving, that it all defaults to a fail-safe state. It's got to be safe if it fails. So if this, for example, loses connection, it's got to end up in a safe state. You can't have nearly 100 kilograms of droid running amok. But and it looks like that's all built into the code from what I've read. So just looking forward now to getting the rest of the drive motors. I need to get some feet. I've had some more. You can probably see in the background. Let me just take him out of automation mode, which is that one there. So now he's just back to under manual control again. And I'll just show you in the corner there, I had some more bits and pieces turn up for the legs. So we've now got the aluminium booster covers, and they're aluminium down as far as the ankle bracelet, and then underneath that is still my styrene ankles, which you can just see down there. I've got one metal foot, still using my styrene ankle there, but I'm buying an aluminium ankle later this week. So I'm still going to be short for 2 outer ankles and the 2 outer feet. So they're the biggest purchases I've still got to make, if I can ever find any. I'm really having trouble finding any that are available. But that's not so bad, because it allows me to pay off some of the debt that I've built up on the rest of it. This is not a cheap hobby, but it's a very satisfying one. And when he's out and about, and maybe do some charity stuff, that would just be fantastic. So see the look on people's faces when R2 goes up to them. It's just going to be fantastic. So anyway, so there you go. So that's sort of my thoughts on the Padawan 360. I absolutely love it, and I'll do another update soon, but that's probably the last update on R2 before Christmas. So there we go. But if you're looking at the control systems, I'd certainly say this is really, really good. And apart from anything else, it frees up probably 300 quid's worth of radio equipment that I didn't need to buy now. So yeah, if anyone's looking for DX9 setup, then I may well be offering that up for sale in the new year, because I don't think I'm going to need it now. I just like this very much. And I've also tried this, incidentally. I've tried it from upstairs, I've tried it from out in the garden. It's got a huge range on it. I initially thought this wouldn't be any good because you don't have the range, but it would seem you do. So and there's absolutely no problems with interference or drifting, because if this was the radio control setup I had, that head would just very, very slowly be drifting around like that by now, not as quick as that. But yeah, that was me doing it. But with the other system, I just couldn't stop it, and then you just have to dial in so much trim. You could stop it with a trim, but I couldn't help thinking that you shouldn't have to keep doing that. So there we go. A bit of an update on R2 before Christmas, and as I probably won't be doing any more between now and then, Merry Christmas, everybody, and I'll see you next time.